This morning, Bus Smart's Heidelberg Star was involved in a minor collision with a courier van on Don Street. Invercargill Passenger Transport Operations Manager Daniel Hartigan says the bus was taken off the road for a short time for the damage to be assessed. He says the damage proved only cosmetic and the vehicle returned to service this afternoon. There were no passengers on the bus at the time of the incident. Environment Southland, along with 5 other regional councils, have been working together as part of a large-scale IT project to create a shared system for core functions such as consents, compliance and biosecurity. The initiative is set to go live in the South next week, but it's already been recognised with national awards.
It started back in 2008, 2009. It's taken so long because we've done analysis and design all the way through of what is just regional council issues, and we've tried to find the best way to do that. We want everything integrated, we want it to be able to be built upon, but the good thing about it is that we haven't gone beyond budget, and I think that's often a concern with people with IT projects, but we haven't gone above budget.
What exactly is the project and what will it enable you to do?
It's an internal system. We run our consent processing through it, our compliance monitoring, our requests for service and various other records of database information. But those first 3 are the ones we're going live with on the 2nd of December, which is just next week.
And it's been recognised with some awards?
It has, yes. Within the local government area, the Society of Local Government Managers awarded us an award for joined up local government. And ALGM, which is the Association of Local Government Information Managers, did that for the collaborative approach. It's pretty novel to have 6 councils across the country working together as closely as we've had to. It's really good.
Let's talk about staffing levels and perhaps costs to put this together.
Yeah, there's been over 200 staff from the various councils. Probably 25 of our staff have been involved at various areas, 50 staff of Datacom. It's a $5 million project. We're 15.5% of that in the shareholding in the company that runs it. So I think that gives a measure that 15.5% of that large sum is what we've had to invest. It's a whole lot smaller than what it might have otherwise been.
The ownership and the management structure going forward, there is a company that is responsible for it?
Yep. The 6 councils have one company that runs the software. We own the intellectual property for that, and that's being directed and managed by the regional council staff, and that's in a company called Regional Software Holdings Limited.
Now that you've gone down this path with this IT service, do you think there's opportunities for more?
Yes, there will be, both with the regional councils that we're going with, because we're going to continue to develop this software and make better use of the opportunities that it gives us as a base. But we're also working on an IT system process with the other local councils, Southland District, Invercargill City, Clutha District.
And is cost savings again to be had there?
Yeah, cost savings and getting the better product out of it, because you get a wider range of experience with people bringing their brain power to resolve the issues that arise.
Author and pro-choice activist Dr. Alison McCulloch was in the city today as part of a nationwide tour to promote her book Fighting for Choice, the Abortion Rights Struggle in New Zealand. In her book, Dr. McCulloch calls for a reassessment of New Zealand's 36-year-old abortion legislation. She says it's time for legislators to act and decriminalise abortion. Hunter Andrews asked her why she had seen the need to write Fighting for Choice.
I think the story of how we got the abortion law we have today, which is quite a conservative law, hadn't really been told, the struggle from both sides. So I tell that story in the book, and then it also comes up to the present day.
Some people may say that major debate's over. What are your concerns now? What changes would you like to see?
Well, the law is around 36 years old now. It was conservative then, and it criminalises abortion. So abortion is regulated as a crime under New Zealand law, and it should be regulated, we think, as a health issue, like any other health issue, because that's where the services are provided. And that means women would get to make the decision for themselves instead of having to meet a ground that's set out in the Crimes Act.
The legislation in its current form, what changes? What are the soundings that what are people saying to you? Is it possible that legislation will be looked at or revisited?
Going in around the country, people I talk to on the street are surprised to learn that abortion is regulated as a crime. In terms of politicians, if there's one thing they want to avoid, possibly more than anything else, it's dealing with the abortion issue. That's still the case, but I think there's some momentum. Young Labour made it one of their platforms. It's made its way through to Labour policy to at least look at the law. So I think there's some pressure. And just last week, Tasmania decriminalised, it's the Australian state. 2008, Victoria in Australia decriminalised. It's happening in areas that are like New Zealand, and those are models we can look at.
So you say abortion's a crime. What does that actually mean in New Zealand? Can women be prosecuted, or practitioners that conduct abortions?
They could be if they didn't meet the grounds set out in the Crimes Act. For example, if they performed an abortion without meeting one of the 6 grounds, which are the danger to the woman's mental or physical health, abnormality of the fetus, incest. Those are the main grounds. So if they performed an abortion because, I guess, the woman felt she couldn't afford another child, that is not a legal ground for an abortion.
Stay with us. Next on South Today News, the jolly man in the red suit makes an appearance, and how to make your money go further this holiday season. Welcome back. A 3-week-long combined Defence Force exercise concluded in Bluff at the weekend with the simulated evacuation of civilian personnel. The exercise's training scenario was set in a fictional southwest Pacific country, Mainlandia, teetering on the brink of an ethnic-fuelled civil war. HMNZ's Canterbury and military transport planes carrying some 450 combat-ready troops from the 10 participating nations arrived simultaneously in Mainlandia to help quell the escalating ethnic violence and restore stability. Saturday's simulation of the evacuation of 85 civilians by the amphibious support vessel HMNZ's Canterbury was the last act in the 3-week exercise named Katapo. The city's annual Santa Parade was enjoyed by thousands on Saturday as they lined the streets of Invercargill to grab a glimpse of Father Christmas and his merry helpers. Perfect weather conditions set the scene for this year's parade, which wound its way through the city centre, entertaining crowds for an hour on Saturday afternoon. Clowns, Santa's little helpers and angels were among those taking part, along with Winnie the Pooh, Bob the Builder and some Smurfs. Participation was up this year with 80 entries in the parade, but the main attraction was the big man himself, Santa Claus.
Oh, hello, children. Oh, hello, boys and girls. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, children.
Christmas is just a month away and already budget advisors are bracing for the usual post-festive season demand for these services. Jubilee Budget Advisory Service Manager Simon Turney says people should think about costly purchases before making choices they may come to regret financially in the future.
Well, it only takes a minute to get into debt, it's very quick, but it may take you years or even longer to pay your way out of it. And also the expectations from society today, if you look at cell phones or iPads, iPods, there's just so many electrical devices that they all cost, but so there's just, a big need out there, which is hard for a lot of families to afford and to keep up with that technology.
Is it more families you're dealing with than individuals? It would be families getting into more trouble?
Yeah, there's a lot. Look, it's not immune to anyone, but definitely probably the biggest sector we deal with is family.
What form of debt is most common at this time of the year? Credit card debt?
Yeah, the credit card is a big problem. It can be sort of personal loans. It can be people maxing out their opportunities, meaning that they've used, they might have a loan at the bank, they might have maybe a mortgage, they might have another personal loan, might have a few credit cards, and sometimes, unfortunately, they'll come to us once, they're getting towards the end of being able to access more credit, which is quite hard work because you're sort of maybe dealing with years' worth of a collection of debt, and, it can take a wee bit of time to sort of work through that. The earlier people seek advice and help, even if it's just a couple of good ideas, even if it's just talking about their options, it's so much easier for people and it's so much less stressful as well, because there's a huge amount of stress when it comes to money.
And of course the value of Christmas is not all just about material goods, is it? It is about those memories with family.
I think there's a fair big commercial aspect to it. There's a big expectation that we have to buy bigger and spend more. And we're not trying to be the Grinch of Christmas. We're not trying to take that away. We're just trying to get people to think about it and spend and live within their means. It's amazing about expectations from family, and I think if people can talk about it with other family members and even just be honest and say, hey, we're feeling the pinch this year, or we've had a big year. Can we limit, the amount of presents we buy, or can we put a cap on it, or can we just turn it into a fun day of family and friends and get together? Because you've got to remember, the kids are going to remember the collection of family together. They're not always going to remember exactly what gift they got or how much it cost.
The toy they may have actually played for a few days and put away.
And broken away, or yeah, exactly. So, I think it's about creating the memory, not just the material aspect of the day.
And so those that may not come to you but are sitting at home going, what advice is there? What's key advice would you be delivering?
It's never too early to start planning. When people can think, it's too close, I haven't got time to save. Planning ahead is a great thing. Maybe there's some things that you can sell beforehand, recycle those old presents or old things lying around the house, turn it into cash and to buy something. When it comes to budgeting, never forget your priorities. You've got to look after your house, your power, your phone, all those boring things that are essential in any budget. You can't sort of spend that sort of money on gifts. You've got to make sure you do prioritise.
Tuatapere was abuzz yesterday as silver anniversary celebrations of the Southern Scenic Route got underway in the south. Tuatapere Domain was full of fun activities to mark the route's 25 years of operation, with kids-free entertainment like jeeps, astro balls and bull riding. Music from local talent as well as a pipe band and Highland dancing complemented a selection of food, crafts and promotional stalls from around the route. The route is just over 600 kilometres long and goes from Queenstown to Te Anau through to Tuatapere, along the coast to Riverton before heading to Invercargill and up the east coast through Catlins ending in Dunedin. Along the way, travellers can view wildlife, flora and fauna distinct to the area and also learn about Māori and European settlement in the south. Celebrations were held in Tuatapere because it's where the Southern Scenic Route was first conceived.
There was a group of local Tuatapere residents that came together in the 80s and just conceived the idea, and it was a real collaborative approach from different community residents to get it going to where it is today, and it kicked off in 1988 with Queenstown joining later on.
Canines of all shapes and sizes took to their new purpose-built playground in South City, wagging tails at the official opening of Invercargill's first dog park. The 2-acre dog park on the Ellis Road town belt was a social hub for dogs yesterday, with dozens of dogs stretching their legs. 2 separate fenced areas enabled small and large dogs to enjoy their own space. The park was made for $60,000 and includes sheltered seating, doggy do bins and drinking water. Invercargill Parks Division will maintain the site, while the South Alive group will keep the area litter-free. And that's all we have time for tonight. Coming up on Sport, we talk to former All Black captain Stu Wilson about the All Blacks' narrow escape against Ireland this morning. From us, the news team, it's good night.